Good morning, everybody. Good morning, peoples. Good morning, Randy. All right, so let's see what screen we got. All right, the SPY. So SPY's currently doing a little bit of a pullback. Where is the chart that I want? All right, so currently, and it might be a challenge to do it during the pre-market session, but currently have price targets on this morning's market for the SPY. I'm kind of using a bigger range this morning, but price targets right now are kind of downsided to 648 to maybe 631, but looks like it might put up a little bit of a fight for that. So let me mark this off. What did I say? 648, which isn't really very far off at this point, to 631. So we'll keep it there for now. So kind of a larger zone this morning, kind of using, but anyways, so yeah, we'll get into it. So let me bring up TradingView here. Good stuff. Get that out of the way. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. Yeah, so good morning. And yeah, so right now, this current yellow box on the screen, that's arguably where we're looking for this market to pull back now / into the open to. And as long as essentially that zone holds, then the pre-market long is still kind of intact for the moment. So thumbs up to that. I didn't think it would happen during the pre-market session today. The pre-market looked a little strong, but you know, either way. So like even here, real quick, let me bring this up. This is from Discord from earlier. Real quick, I'll bring this over. You guys can probably see that. Let me just double check. Yeah, so this was just posted a little bit ago. So this is when the candles are all green. The VWAP backtest zone will be watched. And don't think it gives in during the pre-market, though. Similar to Brandon, going to wait till the market open. So a lot of times we'll get the pullback in the pre-market, sometimes kind of into the open. But ultimately, we had markets kind of running up and then pull back into yellow zone. So if I bring this back over, you'll see kind of, sorry, I don't know if I can, one second. There you go, that works. So you should be able to see it like that. Okay. So price target correct in that regard, but short term, but as far as confidence that it would fully happen during the pre-market, little iffy there, but ultimately it's happened, so that's good. So again, we're kind of going through the pre-market pullback right now, and essentially as long as this yellow zone holds, then we could still see kind of the market have a long kind of into the morning. If at any point we really start to give up the yellow box, that's where the long that's kind of been developed to the pre-market gets shaky. Pretty much the same thing that we kind of talked about yesterday, and so on and so forth. So we'll come back to the SPY and QQQ in the market. What we'll take a peek at here now is going to be the VIX. One second. All right, so here's the VIX. So I think what happened overnight's relatively important, but no big change for the volatility index has happened. I can't remember who it was yesterday, but somebody had asked, like when should we expect the volatility market to pick back up again? How long may it stay down here in the low side? And so just last night, if I bring up this 15-minute chart here, all right, so just last night, we have gotten a test of the 15-minute trend. Not exactly, but close enough that I would call it one. But so we can see here, in the past, like last week, not too long off, we had a breakdown on that 15-minute chart, which basically throws the volatility index into kind of a 15-minute downtrend. So you could call that a short-term downtrend, if you will. And just last night, where I'm drawing to now, that is that would be where a 15-minute uptrend could start if the price were to accept it. So that yellow line and where everything's pointing to down there, that's the 15-minute trend. I'm going to take us into a pre-market session now. All right. So when you look at the extended hours, you'll see that the price has reached that 15-minute trend overnight, but it wasn't strong enough to get above it. Therefore, the 15-minute chart did not enter an uptrend. It stayed in a downtrend. So the significance is just that it tells us so far the 15-minute chart is not ready to go into an uptrend. So last night and into this morning, markets were arguably on the edge of starting a little bit of an uptrend on the 15-minute chart, which would have then resulted in, say, like a market maybe pulling back. But that didn't happen. So the interesting thing here is that we're getting closer to that. As the market starts to get close to that SMA, you're starting to kind of see the potential for things and the market dynamics to maybe shift a bit. Just hasn't been triggered yet, but arguably getting a little closer. So that being said, we know that the 30-minute's still downside. If the 30-minute's still downside, the VIX really isn't going through a long press, which means the markets probably aren't going to sell. All right, so for the moment, everything is still kind of the same way it was yesterday regarding the VIX, and it has been the past couple days. It's just simply a downtrend. So until that volatility index signals that it wants change, then it just hasn't, right? But until that happens, you don't really expect markets to fall apart, right? So it's either markets have to be into a sell signal to go down, or the volatility index has to be an uptrend that then tells us the market should maybe be going down. So there's nothing signaling that's the case for the market. So when that changes, hopefully maybe I'll be still streaming. We'll see, but I don't think it'll be today. And it's not like you're sitting here, going, oh, well, the market's not going down, that's a bad thing. No, it's just, again, it's these things naturally ebb and flow constantly in the short-term trading world. So it's not that we're sitting here wanting the market to go down. It's just the market's currently in a long press right now, and the market is long-sided. The only thing that would come next would be the opposite, which is bearish, and that just hasn't been signaled yet. So when you're in a long environment and the VIX is downtrending, you're not looking for the VIX to just be bearish forever. You're looking at what are the metrics that are eventually going to change us from what we currently have to the next thing. And that hasn't been triggered yet, but, we'll see. So, yeah, there's that. Okay. So, yeah, you got the VIX down, the market down into those prices. So again, you can kind of see how we've come into the yellow. You're starting to get a little bit of a green candle, totally normal, pretty much kind of what just kind of happens there a lot of times. Q. That's good. So yeah, anyways, market down into expected pullback zones, a little bit of a bounce out, Totally normal. So far, this just tells us that the pre-market trend is still intact. So yeah, that's the only way I can say it. Pre-market trend still intact. There's your pullback into support based off the pre-market session. Now, something that we'll expect a lot of times is, like, for example, I'll just add this up here. So we've effectively bounced our 30-minute support trend and took it back to the 1-minute volume weighted average price. So that's a good in terms of like a short-term trade. That's pretty solid, taking it from the 30-minute support down here to the 1-minute trend. Effectively breaking out the 1-minute trend should then take us to the 5-minute, which I would have us price somewhere like around here. So the full bounce next would be like arguably into this yellow box, because that's going to be the 5-minute trend. A lot of times you got to get through the 1 minute to do that, but anyways. So what we've essentially done so far since we've been on the stream here is we've done the pullback to 30-minute trend, 30-minute trend bounce back to 1-minute trend. In the event we can continue to press through the 1-minute trend, we should track down the 5-minute trend, which would be this yellow box on the top. So that's kind of the sequence of going through the time and volume. So this little yellow box we're on right now, that's the 1 minute. So what we really have done so far while being on stream with you guys this morning is 30-minute trend, 1 minute. Oh, it went away. That's annoying. I hate when it does that. 30-minute trend. And then this is the 5-minute. All right. So, right, markets have run up this morning on the SPY. As a result, we've pulled back down to 30-minute trend support. 30-minute trend support is bouncing, going back and attacking the 1-minute trend that's been created from the top. Continuation through that would set it back to the 5-minute trend, so on and so forth, right? So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Good stuff. Interesting. Yeah. So, next line of business. What time is it? 9:15. Again, today's a relatively big day today. Okay, we got quite a few things on the list. You got, a lot. I'm not even going to go through them all, but you got pretty much data coming out from 9:30 to 1 o'clock today. And so we're going to have some important, relatively important one. Initial jobless claims, 9:30. Continuing jobless claims, etc. Core PCE, stuff like that. Chicago PMI. Personal income's kind of an interesting one I always like to see. Pending home sales, another interesting one. So again, arguably just throughout the day we got a bunch of interesting data coming out. So it'll play some effect to the market. But bottom line, we do got quite a bit of stuff coming down the pipeline this morning. Good, yeah, thanks, Q. Appreciate you, brother. So we will get into a little bit of Bitcoin here, and then we will probably kind of get back into watching the market for the moment. All right, so real quick though, one of the ways that you could even consider this moment that you're seeing right now on the SPY on the 1 minute is you're essentially having a 1 minute lower high attempted roll from the top, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go too far into that, but you get the point. So we'll jump over into we'll jump into Bitcoin here. All right, so what are you back to 94,000? Not too shabby, not too shabby. So yeah, we've come down quite a bit on Bitcoin here. So one of the things I will kind of walk you guys through this morning on Bitcoin that I did a little bit of last night. So we will do this just to kind of give you guys an idea of where majority of the crowd is at on Bitcoin right now in relationship to its last breakout. So we're going to take our tool here. We're going to go to the last breakout. The breakout being right here, this last big candle that ran up. All right, so there's a big breakout candle. All right, so we pretty much know that since the breakout, so let me actually draw on the screen. So, I could put a little smiley face or something, eh? So yeah, we pretty much know since like right here, wait, which one do I want to use? Magnifying glass. Yeah, why not? So since the old magnifying smiley emoji there, or not even smiling, but we know that the market has, it's broken out, right? So if we track all the volume, right, volume profile from that specific instance, we know that most people were not involved on the breakout. So if we're just tracking specifically from that break point all the way up right now, we know that most people were not interacting at the breakout point, all right? They interacted up here, right? So we know majority of the volume of the market is all right up here. So we can throw our own little bell curve on that. All right. So like this last little pullback that you saw, I mean, that's pretty much wiping. I mean, like it's getting into a lot of people's positions, right? So if in the event over this week or even next week, we see this market come down to about 85, 86,000, that would be an effective way for, let's just say, people who can, kind of move markets to effectively probably stop out a lot of people. I was reading some things across Twitter yesterday, which basically went on to say that billions of dollars have been, kind of liquidated within that last pullback and so on and so forth. So anyways, story here being is that as the markets do their little pullback they've been doing, if they can get all the way down to 86,000, it will effectively stop out, I would say, most of the people that interacted in this high after the breakout. Does it happen? We'll see. I mean, again, I had prices, I think, down to 86,000, some targets down to 86,000. We already hit the first targets I was looking at for the pullback, as explained on the stream just a day or two ago. But ultimately, that's kind of one of the other angles that I'm watching at for Bitcoin that I would, I guess, be totally okay seeing. And I think it would be totally normal if it does end up happening that way. I guess if I could control markets like that and wanted to take people's coins right before running it up higher, I think that would be an effective way of doing so by taking this last breakout, checking the volume profile of it, seeing where most of the congestion's at, running it down towards where most people aren't involved at. I think that would be an effective way. So we'll see. But anyways, still got, again, anywhere from like 100 to 300 days on this current bull run for Bitcoin before we really kind of go into the idea that we may see a top. So again, I think we pretty much are good to go on Bitcoin for at least 100 to 300 days from now. And then anywhere within that window, we'll look if we see any sort of topping and selling formations. Alrighty. So, yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Robert. Appreciate that, bud. You're looking good. You're looking good. All right. Next little piece of business we'll talk about here will be, what did I say? Yeah, BTCSD. Or yeah, BTC.D. All right, so this is a Bitcoin dominance chart. Put it simply, when it goes down, alternative cryptocurrencies have better opportunity of going up. As Bitcoin dominance kind of falls off, money may move, or other cryptocurrencies aside from Bitcoin will have a better opportunity of moving. So again, we are just seeing a couple. What is this, weekly chart? Yeah. So 2 red weeks in a row. Nothing too crazy, but still enough, right? So we're getting a couple red weeks here, some selling across the Bitcoin dominance chart. And as a result, what we're kind of seeing and should be seeing is alternative cryptos perform better. So you can see here we have a green week for Ethereum. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is on a red week, right? So you're kind of seeing that separation or divergence, if you may, from some alternative coins to aside from Bitcoin, right? So totally normal, nothing to really worry about. This is just kind of what happens. So that being said, that's it. So other cryptocurrencies are going to have a little bit better time of moving. And realistically, you wanna get through this to kind of really trigger a squeeze on Ethereum. You're going to want to get the price through $3,768. This zone of 3,525 to 3,768 was our kind of like our first, not first, but one of the desired long targets for Ethereum in kind of the shorter term. And then the breakout, I don't even really have targets. I haven't even really tried to project targets for that. I probably could. Maybe I'll try and do that later. But yeah, so it looks good. Again, I have no doubt we're at least getting 3,766, if not higher. So again, I think things are looking good there. You're seeing the Bitcoin dominance roll over. Alternative cryptos are kind of working. Specifically in this case, I'm looking at Ethereum. But yeah, good stuff. Come on, get up there. Good stuff. There we go. Okay. All right, we got about 3 minutes here until some data comes out, so on and so forth. Okay, that is better. Alright, is that an algo candle on NVIDIA? Let's see. Let me bring this up. Alright, 929. Alright, I'm going to delete some of this stuff off the screen just because you guys don't need all that. Oh, wrong chart. No, I don't really see one that stands out. I mean, maybe this one earlier, but I don't think so. No, I don't see any sort of wick. Oh, well, maybe in the after hours. Yeah, you could argue. Yeah, I mean, the one in the after hours, you could call that one. Or a dark pool print. Yeah, it happened last night in 1700 hours or so. Alright, so there's a little snap down. Again, that's 30-minute trend support. So once we get below this, that's where the pre-market longs are starting to stop out. So you can pretty much say most people from pre-market have been stopped out on their longs. They're no longer long, and they're underwater, most likely. There you go. So let's see. Look at the dump. Love it. Again, guys, that's pretty much, that's how that operation works, right? You can see how we came into 30-minute support, lower high roll, snap 30-minute trend, and then you stop out majority of those longs from the early session. And like yesterday, yeah, yesterday isn't the greatest example, but anyways. Zoom in here. So NVIDIA, yeah, I don't have NVIDIA near the 50 SMA unless you're looking at like a longer time frame. Not really sure. I mean, I see there's a daily 50 SMA there. Yeah, right now NVIDIA is currently in a selling operation on its own individually. All right. So looking at some market internals here, the FANG names are down. So that, I don't want to say down, but the FANG names currently are not on the upside. They currently are downsided on the MAC. So we don't have major confluence this morning amongst all the markets. It's kind of wishy-washy to start. Bring back up this guy here. Yeah, so I see what you're saying, the daily 50 SMA there. Also, I gotta double check too. I don't think we did, but let's see. Well, that is a gap. So, oh, we also probably completed the gap down. Yeah, let's see. So we had a gap down today. So the market has achieved its gap down to 161. I didn't even notice that today. My apologies, but Yeah, so he completed the gap down first target to the 161 as well. A lot of times this could lead to full reversals too. But again, so there's the gap down 161 target. I should actually change this to yellow. Don't know why it's green. Oh, I remember I changed it earlier this morning. Yeah, so again, looking at this chart here, I mean, regardless, we had a gap down on the SPX, gap down SPY. Initially ran out, went to 161, completed the 161 target. In this situation, a lot of times you do a full reversal and fill that gap. And the reason I'm saying that too is because the market's still in a buy signal. We're not in a sell signal. We're not below the 50 SMA. We're not in a sell signal. And based on the VIX so far right now, the volatility index hasn't even triggered on the short term to really, go into a buy move. So we'll see. We want the market internals to, perform better. So right now you have the SPY issues; those are working well. Nasdaq issues are doing okay. Kind of need the FANG names to turn around this morning. So I'll post this up real quick. So this is, again, where a lot of the attention's at, kind of across the board with Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google. You can see these have opened with the gap down, and they're kind of slightly moving down. Meanwhile, you kind of have the NASDAQ 100 pretty much flat. These guys pretty much flat, and the SPY issues running a little bit. NYSE issues running a little bit. So we'll see how this all forms up. If we stay bearish on the FANG names, you're going to drag the QQQ for sure. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We'll see if these names change, turn around. But like right now, you can see the QQQ really falling off. And that's partially because, again, you have your FANG names that are not performing very well. So until those turn around or something changes there, QQQ is going to struggle. Yeah, Casey. So I mean, I could pull up. I could pull up Nvidia real quick. Regular trading for you. 1 second. What's this? 30-minute. Oh, that's interesting. So that's interesting. The QQQ is testing its 50 SMA support. I got to pay attention to that. If you look at Nvidia too, again, Nvidia started a selling operation a couple weeks back. Remove these drawings. Or I don't know, last Friday. Yeah, so Nvidia went negative on trend on the 30-minute last Friday. Since then, it's gotten its sell move. So basically, we got to get that back over trend. We'll start seeing some positive movement. So again, the QQQ, kind of interesting because, again, it's right at its over-under 50 SMA. So, like, right here, this is getting slightly interesting because this is, arguably, I mean, it works with the QQQ. I pay attention to it mainly on the SPY, SPX. But bottom line, you kind of have, like, Qs at an interesting over-under right here. So, this is 50 SMA support over-under. Let's double check SPX. Back to sell. So if the QQQ breaks down the 50 SMA here, you could arguably we might start seeing a small little sell trigger on QQQ. Again, the VIX doesn't really say that now, does it? Not really. So again, real quick, I'll zoom in just so you guys can kind of see. But you see how we got 506.45 mapped off. Again, it's pretty straightforward. You go to, I think I'm on the regular trading hours. Yeah, if we go to the regular trading hours, you can see right here. If I zoom in some. That's your 50 SMA on the QQQ, right? So if we kind of zoom out, ready? So if we zoom out some, again, that is the 50 SMA over under trend. So you're seeing in real time today the interaction of the QQQ price with the 50 SMA trend, which is pretty much support till it's not, kind of jam. But anyways. All right, so again, kind of what we would see. So if we're going to basically, like, let's just say, like, we're going to hold support here, which so far is still kind of lackluster. What we're watching right now is we're watching the FANG names, right? So you can see the FANG here. These are all the FANG names. They're down and sideways, right? So you can see QQQ's down sideways. So as long as this persists, we're going to see QQQ kind of hang to the downside for the most part, snap the support. So look at that. You see that little breakdown? So again, that's a snap of the 50 SMA in the 30-minute. A little bit of volatility there. Nothing too crazy. FANG names are still bearish here. Let's just double check some other things. Nothing is really running right now all that much, right? We've kind of had an initial stall on everything. Where is, let me get back to this guy here. Perfect. Yeah, so again, like the VIX, and again, there really shouldn't be a spike on the VIX. We really only expect a spike on the VIX once the VIX turns positive, which means you have to start getting over the 15-minute trend. The 15-minute trend right now on the VIX is priced at 1450. So until we're over 1450, we don't expect a spike on the VIX, or it's going to have to come in the form of the market actually turning negative to spike the VIX. So either the market has to drop enough to then put fear into the market, or the VIX has to go into an uptrend and volatility starts to spike. So neither of which have quite happened yet. And like I was saying, guys, it's kind of an awkward setup. I mean, even with the short week, and we got all these data announcements coming out, which few happened right into the open. When do the next couple come out? Let's see, 9:30, so 10:45, yeah. Oh, wait, let me bring that back up. Again, actually, is this off? It might be off by a little bit. Well, oh yeah, because it's supposed to be the close right there. So for those of you guys that watched yesterday, you guys would know when the SPX opens with a gap, we pretty much expect it to trade down to, it's 161 or up to its 161. I would say about 70 to 80% of the time, right? So in that regard, we have completed the first initial knee-jerk reactions on SPX to the 161. We've already done that. And it looks like it already tested the golden pocket too. So again, we've already opened up and sold down to 161 target, right? So we've kind of sold down, completed that move. Let me bring back the market internals because we're starting to get a little bit of a pop. So I'm imagining where to go. Where is it at? I don't know. That's weird. Why don't you pop up? There it is. Nope. Again, we're getting a little bit of a hold there on the market, a little bit of a hold on QQQ. Again, we're right at the over under 50 SMA, but there really isn't any follow through with the FANG, which is generally what you're going to want to see for this market to bounce the bottom there on QQQ. Funny. Flint, good morning to you. Yeah, everything's, doing well. Just, drinking coffee, preparing for World War III. Life couldn't be any better, right? Whoa. All right, so we're kind of getting a little bit of a turnaround on the cues here. The momentum is definitely slowed down quite a bit on this first initial drag. Again, it's not a perfect system, but again, we would, if again, for the bottom on the cues to hold in any fashion that probably results in a decent bottom and trade to the upside there, aside from kind of just a quick scalp. Again, we're going to need to see the momentum change. And so I find that the 1 minute MAC does work well when you're looking at a combined ticker of multiple tickers. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Nvidia. You're taking a group of stocks, combining them, and then dialing down to a 1 minute micro momentum. And it works decently well. It's not a perfect system, and the MAC does lag at times and things like that. But it's a relatively good thing to pay attention to, especially on the combined ticker. So like that's something I'm paying attention to right now, right? You can see we had this one little green bounce on the NASDAQ, but we have really not enough follow through quite yet to turn things totally positive. And if you don't know what that means that it's harder to bounce a market when your major market cap stocks are not performing, right? So NASDAQ is down. We look at this little screen on the left, which doesn't look like a lot, but all the market internals are down. Even their micro 1 minute trend isn't positive, right? Which is normally a lot of times one of the first things that would be positive if we're going to bounce. And it's not like, and again, it's not like you're sitting here just absolutely dying for it to bounce. It's not even the point. The point is just you're looking at what the market is saying, and the market is saying the NASDAQ is down, FANG names are down. There's no positive momentum quite yet, even in the micro. We're on an over-under support. Is the market just going to fall off a cliff? I don't really think so on this day, personally. I feel like we'd be more likely to see a little bit of a bottom bounce on the cues. And if so, it's, we got to see some of this momentum change a bit. Again, we're getting close to a cross. Hasn't quite happened, though. Oh, my neck, man. Oh, yeah, speaking of, let's get into this guy real quick. All right. The other thing, too, there's a couple other little things I could kind of get into. But so we also always look for the first retrace to intraday 1 minute, which I think we've already done, yeah. So right now, everyone who's been short the market on the cues, they're about to get squeezed effectively if we can break through this 1 minute trend. Because everyone who's been short, their average price is right at 507.17. So again, this is also the first test. So this is where they're going to try to reject and then throw a short. So again, we're right at the key 1 minute over under trend for the QQQ today, right there. I'll just put an arrow at it right there so you can kind of see. So if we take today's initial move down, everyone that shorted this move, we've come into over under 50 minute, 30 minute support, whatever, right? Now we're moving into the 1 minute trend of the day. A lot of times that's where you have a lot of volume that's been built up for the move down. And so basically this is a deciding moment, on the 1 minute scale, if 1 minute traders are going to basically squeeze themselves out, or they're at least going to lower high the QQQ. A lot of times there's an attempt to lower high it, but bottom line is they're really on defense right now with the Qs for the moment. All right, so now we bring up the market internals. All right. So again, this is that first 1 minute rejection attempt. Okay. This is the natural flow of things. So it'd be Market opens, goes down, market retraces to the 1 minute selling trend. And if there's no resistance to roll it, then a lot of times they'll push themselves out. And so right now what we're seeing, again, we don't have a positive, we don't have any positive cross, positive momentum quite yet with the FANG. That doesn't mean that some of them aren't moving good. I'm just saying we don't really have anything all crazy going on there. So there's the potential start of some positive momentum. And when I say potential, it just basically means we're starting to see the green come in there. The pattern here doesn't look amazing on the chart by any means. But again, it's mainly what I'm looking for, is to see if we flip this momentum back to positive and it creates a bottom for the QQQ market at any point. Again, we're right on that 1 minute sell trend, right? So we're right on 1 minute resistance without any positive momentum. And arguably, it's not like we're looking for anything crazy today, with the current week we're on and short week and all that. Oh man, my neck. I should probably stop cracking my neck and I probably have less problems, but you know. All right. I'm going to take a peek at some of our big names here. Oh, I didn't really forget about that. I always knew that, but it's just was kind of meh. Looks like Bitcoin still moving up a little bit this morning. Nvidia doing nothing for us. Microsoft kind of doing something. Amazon, nothing. Berkshire Hathaway crushing this morning. Again, so there's, like we said, there's that 1 minute rejection trend. So far, market respecting the sell move. Now we are starting to see a little bit of positive momentum coming in there on the FANG names. Not much though, not really much. And by the looks of it, I would assume everything else is not doing anything. So, yeah. All right, so if you look at the market as a whole, everything is still flat and downside. We don't even really have SPY issues running, NASDAQ issues running, NASDAQ 100, or FANG names. So it's still just a lackluster market. Good morning, Freedom Free. I am hit or miss. Yep, we still use standard deviation and custom, well, just standard deviation in general. It's actually what we use to pretty much, yeah, let everyone, let as many people know as possible that MSTR was getting ready to, well, basically coming into resistance. Also still under the assumption that shorts were going to get squeezed, but shorts have prevailed so far, at least so far. But yeah, so yes, we still use that. That's what we use to basically predict the MSTR top / resistance just the other day. So I think the other day it hit like $550 or just somewhere, wherever. Whatever the top was, that was the +3, +4 mark for MSTR. So basically, as the market's going straight up 1 day ahead of time, we see that it's coming into the +3, +4. So at that point, you know, we say, hey, it's coming into resistance. And then the next day, I think it was down 30% and maybe a little bit more today. So We still use that till this day. All right, so market's still just kind of hanging out. Oh yeah, by the way, that's the 50 SMA support break on the 30-minute scale for QQQ. Real quick, let's just kind of load it up. Not that it's anything too crazy. Again, it's just you're watching that trend. Again, I'm more interested on the SPY trend and SPX ones, but again, that's that little snap there. Nothing crazy. So remember, what have we seen so far? Market come down, market bounce back into the 1-minute trend and reject and stay down. That's it. All right, so we'll run probably something like that. And we snap there, so yeah. Low volume trading. Can you cover where? Yeah, I mean that's literally it. The 50 SMA comes from the 30-minute chart. So if you put a 50 SMA on your chart and you turn off your pre-market data, that's where it's going to come in. So this tells us right now that essentially in the micro term, the NASDAQ is a little negative, but again, I can't say that's a whole reliable break just yet. I don't expect this to be a reliable breakdown on the QQQs personally. I just don't see it like that. Low volume week. Thanksgiving, nah, this thing's gonna get bought back up in my opinion. And then when it does, again, a lot of times what we're gonna do is we're gonna track down like this yellow box on the upside. So this yellow box you can see here that I'm drawing with, that's tracking everyone that's shorted the last top in kind of the rollover. So their average price is going to be somewhere in like 506.55 to 506.76. So assuming that the breakdown doesn't last, we'll most likely go back to basically screw with everyone else that just traded this last leg. And on the sell side, that would be back into 506.56 and 506.76. So anyways, you get the point. All right. That being said, we're going to need to see some sort of turnaround on some of these market internals. Well, we don't really have to see turnarounds in the market internals for that small of a move to happen, but if they do turn around, it would probably make it easier. All right, so again, you can kind of see here the momentum isn't super strong on the QQQ, so on the downside that is either. So if you look at this last move down in the QQ, or not the QQQ, but the FANG, so this last like stretch down, selling volume and momentum wasn't even really strong, right? So like this last leg you just saw down, the FANG didn't really participate with a significant amount of momentum down. Hence the concept. I don't think it will last long. I think it's going to get pushed back up into that yellow box as we talked about. And now we just got now we got a little bit of a MAC cross positive on the FANG. And it's the early start, right? So it's just the first little attempt. But even if that gets, little bit of follow through, you probably get that target. I don't like when it does that. Maybe that works better. Oh, Okay, let's see if there's something else here. Can you... Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So it was just funny because like your question literally was the answer. But yeah, so it's just the 50 SMA on the 30-minute chart, but you have to turn off again the pre-market and after hours trading so that it because it prices different. If you run it with the pre-market and after hours trading, the 50 SMA will take into consideration the after hours trading and the pre-market trading. When you take off pre-market and after hours, it only calculates the pricing that comes from the live trading hour session, and that's where you get that 50 SMA price point. As that's what you're looking for. So right there, that little top, not that it's super significant, but again, that top they were seeing this little 1 minute pullback, that's at the 50 SMA again. So like we said before, we kind of broke it down. So that's negative. This is the micro back test of it. So if you're going to stay downsided, you would essentially like to stay below the 50 SMA. Right, which is right there at 506.44. So we'll just say algorithms that trade the market and blah, 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 blah. They're basically the ones doing that. And again, I'm not really concerned about it. But just a little tidbit of information for you. The MAC, again, so you guys can kind of see here. See how all morning I'm like, we're looking at this. And that was the first attempted positive kind of MAC with the FANG name. So probably what we're seeing is a lot of those FANG names probably sold down today, and they're probably just going through a little bit of a bottom bounce, if anything. All right, so I'm going to just enlarge this real quick so you guys can kind of get a feel. So we're not in, by any means, a really bullish market this morning, obviously. But you can see here, again, NASDAQ 100, little pop, all selling. FANG names, all pretty much selling today. SPY issues started a little positive, then rolling. NYSE issues started with the long, then roll. Entire NASDAQ pretty much sideways to down roll. So again, nothing is by any means like a bullish move this morning. All right, so that's so far the micro term respecting the breakdown. Again, if we flip to a 30-minute chart, what are you seeing? Again, you're seeing that 50 SMA breaking down, right? So when that happens, again, the market is attempting to get negative on trend. Which, again, is bearish for QQQ. It's just kind of really my gut feeling that it's not going to have follow through, but we'll see. You shouldn't really be bullish at this point for the QQQ. All right, see how that big sell leg is coming down? That's, again, because we take out 50 SMA support. That's a back test and a roll down. There's no market internal supporting any long right now, just an FYI. Oh yeah, by the way, real quick, where is this bouncing to? Most likely this guy right there. It's probably going to come back right about to that green line. Well, that would be the first initial 1 minute pullback to basically screw over everyone. So again, like, you know, it's never always going to be a perfect system, but again, you kind of see how we just bounce back up to the green. So again, this is kind of a scenario where the last leg, see this last rejection leg? So say anybody who shorted this top or just the whole move down, like that VWAP right there would pretty much take them all out, right? So anyone who did micro short scalping on this last leg, whether the high, the middle, the low, they've all got stopped out right there, right? So that's kind of how a high frequency computer would basically move prices in between buy or sell legs to wash all the previous volume of the leg, right? It's a pretty common tactic. Again, we still have not tagged the VWAPs off this kind of high move in this. Wait, there was supposed to be another one. Oh, that's right, because I moved it for there. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so this zone is now here to here. Bitcoin, 94,800. Wow, really? Well, actually, it's supposed to go up to the 4-hour trend here, so, in my opinion, where was that at? 1 second. Oh, yeah, yeah, duh. So we've already done that, yeah. Yep. So Bitcoin, pretty much, yeah, I forgot to mention that this morning. I kind of forgot. But anyways, Bitcoin pretty much just made it to its 4-hour trend target. So it's debatable. I don't really, we'll see. I'm gonna say there might be a little bit of resistance here. I don't really think it's worth mentioning for a trade for the moment or anything like that. But we just came into our 4-hour long target for Bitcoin. And when I say long target, it's counter trend reversal for the moment, obviously. So if we go to Bitcoin real fast, right here, this pretty much this yellow box, whatever. That's the 4-hour trend target. So we just achieved that. So a lot of times this can kind of cause like hesitation. 4-hour trend target. But anyways, it's very, very minuscule stuff in the grand scheme of things with good old Bitcoin. Where the hell? Where did it go? This? No. Good morning to you, folks. Good morning, everybody. So what time is it? 10:06? Wow. It's only 10:06. Okay. Again, the volatility index is put in a little bounce. Again, nothing crazy. That's mainly because we're not above any trend that should really trigger a lot of volatility yet in the market. But if that changes, we'll see. I'll let you guys know. But it would have to put in quite a bit of work today alone to do that. It just doesn't seem that likely. Again, wouldn't expect it. Really wouldn't expect something like that. And there's really no pattern here too, so it's like, well, I don't want to say there's no pattern. I'm just saying like it just doesn't seem like the market, like again, the QQQ is like really ready to break down. I mean, maybe it does. Again, it can always do whatever it wants, but it just does not really seem like that's the case. Ooh, nice little bouncer, Magoo. All right, so again, QQQ, let's just bring it back. Go back to the 1 minute, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I guess there's not a whole lot else to say. Pretty much covered it all. Again, you can see right now we have positive MAC, 1 minute on FANG name. So in the micro term, it's not your FANG names aren't really bearish. That's arguably why this bottom isn't really selling out anything like that. There's not a lot of selling taking place on a lot of the major market cap stocks, which would naturally drive the price down. They're currently getting bought to the upside, so it's easier for the Qs to go up than it would be to go down in theory. Again, it's kind of lackluster, but that's why this little bottom's kind of holding. I mean, you can see it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Look at the pattern you have on the FANG names, right? If we zoom in, look at the pattern, right? Where they're doing a little bounce, little pullback, little bounce, little pullback, little bounce, little pullback, right? What do you got in the Qs? Little bounce, little pullback, little bounce, little pullback, right? So you're getting that exact formation that you're getting across the FANG name. So again, a lot of this market is going to be, what are those guys doing? So like Apple getting long pressed up. Nvidia is taking the market down, so you'd really need Nvidia to turn around to help the Qs there. Microsoft is holding a decent little bottom area. Google's holding a decent little bottom. Amazon's holding a decent bottom. Meta's not. We'll see what Tesla's doing. Tesla's nah. And Netflix, nah. So basically right now it's all built off the back of Meta and like Nvidia to a degree, right? You basically would need those to kind of slow down, and then the market wouldn't sell off as much right now. Oh, look at that major dump. Now it's unfortunate. That's not even really major, to be honest. So again, real quick too, again, like, this is kind of what we're waiting for the vol. I don't want to say what we're waiting for, but I mean, it's one thing you're looking for. All right, so this 15-minute trend, that's again a precursor. Right now, if we're going to see volatility pick up on the market, number one, we're going to want to see it over the price of, what is that? Let's call it 1450. So put 1450 on your VIX chart, and you'll know that when market gets over that, we can start to maybe see some volatility pick up. And when I say maybe, it's just the sense that, yes, pretty much that. 15-minute trend gets over, volatility starts. I know there's a lot on this chart, but I'll just clean it all up, and we'll go back to a 30-minute. All right, so again, right now, the QQQ is not bullish, right, because it's below the 50 SMA, okay? All right. Yeah, again, that's the simplest way I can say it is the 30-minute chart on the Qs is actually turned a little bearish here, but again, I think it's all just short-term stuff. We'll see. Market will always kind of do what it wants to do. The SPY, not bearish yet. Let me double check, but yeah, SPY has a long way in that regard. So we're doing a QQQ tech reset. That's what makes sense now. Yeah. Again, you see how we're below that 50 SMA trend, right? So if I zoom out, you can kind of get a feel for what happens, right? When you go below the red line. So you go below the red line, that is in theory bearish. I just don't see this becoming an extended sell move. Now maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. Also too, let's look at that, right? So you see how, again, yellow line, 50 SMA, take the market, get positive, positive, up, up, down, and then once you get below that, it's starting to kind of snap in a little bit. Again, that is simply, just to put it, that's that 50 SMA trend, which is right there. So, you know, like this is a day when you look and you have all your market internals. Where are they? Right here. Or no, that's not it. That's the VIX. All right. All right, so look at what we got today. All right. When you're looking at the market internals across the board and how the QQQ is broken down the 50 SMA, is this a day where you're really looking extremely long bias? No. SPX has just gotten below its 161 on the day, which is kind of interesting. Not really, though. I mean, it doesn't really, it's not a huge deal. I don't know if I'm going to do it regularly. Maybe, maybe not. I wouldn't mind. All right, guys, give me a second. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go grab myself a fresh coffee. All right, we're back. We're back. And so far, QQQ leading the way down on the QQQ 30-minute sell move, which actually, use my brain a little bit. And then we snapped right about there. So take that guy, and then that's going to be our retrace zone back up. Again, like we were talking just a little bit before, we got Bitcoin into the 4-hour trend here. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Real quick, what about this? trust it. I would say our 5-minute trend's a little negative on the SPY, but I just don't think that's really going to amount to much. We're not even negative on the 15-minute trend with the SPY. So again, a lot of today is really just like that QQQ. I know that's a really big zone there, but you know. All right, let's see, 10 o'clock. I know it's already kind of came out a little bit ago, but let's see. Pending home sales, 2% versus minus 2%. Whoa. Pending home sales was 2% versus negative at 2.1%. Estimate 7.5%. Prior revised 7.4. That isn't good. Core PCE year over year 2.8 versus 2.8. Estimate 2.8. 3.3 personal. U.S. personal spending 0.4 versus estimate of 0.6. Personal spending down. No surprise. Well, down from estimates, but. Do. So again, that would be, I would say, target number 1. So like that's the way I would kind of view a lot of this, right? So like we'll just call this T1, oh snap, T1. You would call this T2, and I would call this like, or that's not, wait, it's just really like this, T2, sorry, not that first one. Well, the first, well, I'm not gonna get into that one, but this would be T2. Yeah, that would be like T3 on your counter retraces, right? So anyway, so T1 retrace hit, and you can see resistance. Again, this is effectively taking the last sell leg and tracking the key spots of it to the downside. So as this market pops back into T1, we would effectively, most likely take out anyone who shorted this last leg. They would most likely be underwater and stopped out, right? And then, as you can see, trend tries to continue. So when you're having kind of sell-offs or, you know, buys, either one, if they're going to continue in the same direction, a lot of times they'll do a stair step up. Not all the times, but stair step down, up, right? And when you're seeing that, a lot of times it's just the market trying to move to and from key volume zones that have been created within the chart and from what's already happened, right? Hence the move to and from liquidity, or, you know, to and from max pain, stop out, stop losses, things like that. When you interact with the market, we know the market knows where you bought, it knows where you sold. So essentially everyone interacting on a day-to-day basis on the charts, right? The market knows where you're interacting at. And then there's tools that can track your volume levels and know where you're at. And that's basically the market's job, is to go to and from these levels and then stop you out, you know, things like that. And it doesn't always work that perfect, but I mean, you can basically see, right? So, you know, if someone was like, hey, where's the lower high going to be? It's like, well, T1, maybe T2, T3, but that's where the retrace is going to be, so on and so forth, right? And then that basically takes this next T1 to like right about there. So pretty much everyone, you could say like everyone who shorted this last pop, right? They're pretty much about to all be stopped out, right? There's only 2 candles here. There's only 2 1-minute candles. So unless you shorted the green one at the top or the very top of the red one, if you played anywhere in the middle, bottom half, or this red one, you're done. You're already red on that. Like if you shorted, just like micro scalped it, right? So if you think about it in terms of moving to and from and screwing people over, most anyone who traded this last leg down has been screwed over on that green candle alone, right? And that's kind of the purpose of the market. Hence why when you short a low, you get pushed out. Hence the concept short the lower high or buy the dip, right? Because the market is naturally, its objective is then to go back and mess with either the demand or the supply that entered that market previously, to a degree. Now, I will change the color of this guy here. So we're going to change the color of this here to, we'll change it to blue, even though it's kind of weird. But anyways, so the blue VWAP is extremely key right now because the blue VWAP is it's the main selling VWAP of today now. So basically, the market on the Qs was positive, tried to bounce 50 SMA support trend, broke down the 50 SMA, so now the market becomes bearish on the Qs in terms of like 30-minute trend. Back test 30-minute trend, confirms down, goes into a sell move down, and now we're kind of lower highing, etc., etc. That being said, the key volume trend or the key VWAP of the sell move that starts below the 50 SMA is the blue VWAP. So that's extremely key because it essentially is the selling trend of the market, right? So if for whatever reason the market wants to be negative below the 50 SMA and it happens, awesome. Now we're just tracking all of the volume from that sell point. Which it'll sound dumb to say, but then it becomes a counter trend level to attack along with a reversal level, which I don't know if we'll necessarily see today. We might, but yeah. So basically, we have started a sell move below the 50 SMA on the QQQ, which is just creating selling, right? Now, this isn't really anything that you don't know or haven't known since we've pretty much got on stream. And this is, again, why we like to watch a multitude of things, especially ones like the market internals, which tell us that nothing is performing this morning. So it's like this whole way down, there's really no reason to be extremely bullish. That being said, we started the day saying, hey, we might do a full reversal gap fill on the SPY, which very close to doing, kind of missed it. But ultimately, I mean, again, the market internals right now are showing down. So until the market internals change and bounce the market, you just follow the trend down for the moment. And again, the QQQ entered a downtrend at 950. It happened at 9, or was that 954 or whatever, about 10 o'clock this morning? Yeah, 954 this morning. We went into a downtrend. So if I put a vertical line on the chart right here, this is where we would consider that the QQQ has entered a decent downtrend. It's broken the 50 SMA, and what's happened? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Now, granted, I didn't think we'd actually get this much extended selling on this week, but again, that's the purpose of the market, to do what it wants, right? So again, that's kind of it. I'll put these teddy bears here. I'll put a teddy bear, so when you're below the yellow line, it's bearish. And when you get back above it, it becomes a bullish market again. So, or wait, that's a bear. Let me put a bull. Where's the bull? There's the bull. So right there. So that's it. You have a bearish market below and a bullish market above. Now, you could try to trump it and say, well, like I did, which is I don't really think it's going to last too long to the downside. I think the dips will kind of get bought back up into there and it won't last. Well, that was wrong. Now, some dips did get bought back, but it's just bought back to retest the breakdown, and breakdown prevailed, right? So, again, there's what you have in store in your mind, but the bottom line, it's just the market, right? So that's the key over under 506.41. That will change as time goes on, which basically means every 30-minute candle that price will change. But right now, below here is bearish and above here is bullish. Just because you're below the yellow doesn't mean you can't have a reversal bounce. Obviously, everything has to change at some point, but that is the starting shift point for bullish to bearish. Now, if we zoom out on the chart a little bit, say like to a 15-minute chart, right? You can take off this bull, take off this bear, right? You can see, like, you can even see where the pattern formation is kind of changing, right? You can see clearly the market was doing kind of like a higher low, higher high, and then right there, it's kind of falling apart. Now, anyways, that being said, God, I still really didn't think it would extend this far, but, you know. And even still, what is... You know, like, that's another thing too, is like, you know, you can foresee that there's definitely somebody out there, you know, someone who maybe just started looking at markets, things like that, going like, man, like, market's really selling off, like, is it going to bounce? Is it going to bounce? You know, we got to wait for a bounce, or I'm going to buy this bottom, I'm going to buy this, even though at 9:54 this morning, 9:55, the QQQ entered a bearish market, right? So right now the 30-minute chart on the market is bearish, and it's the shift point. So, you know, for someone who just started, you're looking at this chart, you know, it's going down, and you're like, oh, well, it's oversold, so I'm going to buy a bounce. The market's not uptrending currently. So you're either having to buy a bottom reversal, which means timing a bottom in a bear market currently, at least on the 30-minute, which is hard to do, or your better bet would be waiting for the market to enter an uptrend, and then you can look to buy a dip, right? So if you're looking to be long, it's always going to be easier to be long in an uptrending market versus entering long in a bear market, right? When I say bear market, I mean this is right here. We entered a bear market on the Qs at 9:54 today. Now remember what we talked about. The volatility index can get interesting when we start to get over about, well, we're getting closer. So we should pretty much, I mean, at this point, I almost just expect that the volatility index goes up to 1446, right? Like, this is what we've been talking about, right? We want to see that 15-minute trend, right? And so we're getting there, but we're not quite there. So even the volatility index isn't quite waking up yet, and that's totally normal, right? So, like, someone may look at the this whole move down on the Qs today and be like, you know, like, that's not enough movement for the VIX. Well, the VIX hasn't really been triggered to give volatility. It's still going through a bottom bounce right now, maybe looking to turn trend positive. Then volatility would enter an uptrend. So volatility really hasn't gotten over a trend that's significant enough to really boost volatility on the market. So again, even with this whole NASDAQ drop this morning, the market hasn't really, again, hasn't triggered levels on the volatility index yet. Yeah, I mean, even if you look at SPY, right? If you go look at the SPY, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, right? Like, look at where... Hold on one second. 30-minute. Yeah, that's good enough. Oh, stupid. Yeah, so even with your... even with your SPY, look at this whole move down, right? This whole move down, and you go look at the volatility index, and the volatility, it's moved, but it's not crazy. And again, that's because it's still working on its path to arguably getting into an uptrend. And again, I just don't, I mean, it's been an extended move so far, but again, I kind of almost feel another kickback here. Let's see. It's just, if we're going to do a little bottom reversal, it's going to happen abruptly. Is most likely what's going to happen. Or what am I doing? High style. take these off. You don't even need them. All right, so I would say so basically the last sell leg, I would say most of those shorts are stopped out, right? So if you take, again, right here, that was the last 1 minute structure high leg, down, bounce back to the key volume trend of that. So again, anyone shorting this last leg most likely at break even to underwater with that last pop, right? You see in a trend, and then new red candle, try to temp down. I mean, maybe. Yeah. And that's not bad. I mean, heck, you know. I like it, KC. Hey, Bitcoin to 95,000. Woo, woo, let go, baby. Oh, yeah. You know, again, I know there's only maybe 20, 30 of you here on stream, but you know, as we were saying before, again, we have expected 100 to 300 days left of the Bitcoin bull market. All right, so I'm only gonna even really start to consider the idea of maybe there is some resistance, like a true market top potentially brewing once we get to 100 days out from now, like 107 days out from now. The past cycle, so we'll talk about the past Bitcoin bull market for a second. So the past Bitcoin bull market, it had a double top, right? So when I say anywhere from 100 to 300 days out, the last market, Bitcoin market top, that kind of whole formation, you know, that's what I'm talking about, is that course happened, you know, over the course of like basically a year almost, we'll call it. A little less than a year, but, you know, over the course of, you know, 250, 300 days, right? So you kind of had a top drop, then a double top pattern, right? So you kind of had a double top pattern last Bitcoin bull market cycle, and as a result, that whole topping formation took anywhere from like 100 to or like 300 days, that whole top, right? So when I think about this cycle around, it's like, okay, using some of the logic from the last time, can maybe say it's anywhere from 100 days to 300 days from now, if we kind of rhyme the past, that we could maybe form a top. Unless it throws us for a curveball and just decides to top well before that. But that's where I kind of come up with that idea of 2025. All right. So market continuing to shit the bed. No big deal. It's not, again, no big surprise here. Again, we entered a downtrend on the QQQ this morning at 953. And all the market internals are still just crap, right? So again, bring this up full screen. Again, NASDAQ 100 downsided. QQQ downside. All right, and here's another thing is the equities. So the NASDAQ 100 equities are below the 50 SMA. The NASDAQ have now gotten below the 50 SMA. The SPY issues broke below their 50 SMA. The NYSE issues are close to breaking below their 50 SMA. And the FANG names are going to be moving down towards 50 SMA. So this is a situation where though you're not negative on trend with the SPY, you are with the QQQ. And then across the board, you're starting to get some downtrends on equities across the board. The S&P issues have just flipped below their 50 SMA this morning. NASDAQ have flipped below their 50 SMA. So as a whole, most of the equities in the NASDAQ are currently like bearish, just based off of the trend that I'm seeing. Same thing with the SPY issues. Same thing with the NASDAQ 100 issues, and probably close to being the same thing with the NYSE issues. The only thing that's still not is is a group of the Fang. Now, whoa, what is that? I don't know what that is. But anyways, all right, so now remember just about 2 seconds ago we talked about the VIX getting up into 1444, 1450s. So we've done that, right? So you can see, look at, right? See, we're at the 15-minute 50 SMA. So we've effectively sold the markets off enough today to at least create enough fear to at least get the volatility index to one of its first precursor levels that might start to trigger volatility. So generally the rule of thumb is when you come into it, it's resistance. If you get over it, maybe you break out, blah, 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 blah. You guys are probably smart enough to know that. The YouTube algo doesn't really give us too many new traders these days because we'd probably start them off on things that are far too valuable than to throw them through the whole ringer first, right? So again, right here, so you can see I even have it mapped off, right? So and actually, let's just make sure it's accurate. Let's go back to a 5 to 15 minute. It's not completely accurate. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I think the wife needs me. Be back soon. All right, sorry about that. It looks kind of weird on there. But anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much accurate. And so again, right now we're coming into the 15-minute over-under with the volatility index, okay? So basically, this is where the 15-minute trend gets to decide if it's going to continue to confirm the 15-minute downtrend, which a lot of times can help give some green on the market, or if it's going to enter an uptrend in which we would continue to sell, kind of thing. That being said, markets are kind of extended to the downside. So you can see, right? You see that big beat red candle that's starting to come in right here. Now, I know that someone's probably going to assume that it's because there was resistance here before. But the way that I would see it, it's because we're actually coming into, again, that 15-minute trend. Okay? And so since it's kind of the first attempt, you're getting some resistance. All right. On to the next thing. Market internals. I don't know. Kind of a little pop there. A little something. Nothing crazy. All right, so let's see where we're at. Probably just taking out the most recent sellers. So let's do it right there. Yep. So most recent sellers. Boom. They've been taken out. Again, so if we look at that last sell leg on the QQQ, top, down, anchor, high, reverse, market up, take out that previous sell leg. So most of those people are all stopped out and they've stop lost. So anyone shorting this last leg down, most if not everyone has been taken out. So the people that chase the short low, they're squeezed out, okay? You know, don't be afraid to ask a question. You know, it's okay. You guys can ask. You can say something. You know, you could tell me what the weather's like wherever you're at. Don't have to be so quiet. All right, so look at this. So this is a decent bounce, right? And see what we're getting? We're getting this rejection of the 50 SMA and the VIX. So this is what I would consider. Again, you're finally like getting kind of like an outside catalyst on the market, right? Now there might be some other reasons, but one of the reasons here for me is we see how we got to the 15-minute trend. like was said before, the volatility index it's not going to give you too much volatility until it's triggered, right? And one of those trigger levels a lot of the times will be that 15-minute 50 SMA. So until you really break it out or until you're above it, it can still be used as resistance. So that's arguably like a little mini VIX catalyst taking place right now to bounce the market. Market rejecting volatility index 15-minute 50 SMA, right? So that's a catalyst coming from the VIX to help bounce the bottom of this market, right? So think about it like this. Market sells all the way down, allows the VIX to go all the way up to key resistance over under, rejects trend, market bounce. See how that works? Now, did I know that that was exactly going to prevail this morning? Absolutely not. No. But what we do know is that the VIX 50 15-minute trend, it's an over-under that triggers volatility. So no volatility has really been triggered on the market yet. And as long as you're below the trend, still resistance. When you flip over, more of a support, right? So as the market has this big beating all morning down to the low, and then you hit trend on the VIX and you have resistance, it's more of a signal from the VIX that the market could basically bounce, or it's not, or the volatility index isn't quite ready to get broken out yet. So if it's not quite ready to get broken out yet, you have situations where you can have these little bounces off lows. So you can use the VIX 15-minute and the 30-minute as mini catalysts for intraday movement on some of your markets like SPY and QQQ and so on and so forth. You bottom ticked. So again, I think the max target I would have for now for anything long off of any low on this day would just basically be back to the blue trend. And the reason I say that is because that's the current main selling VWAP of the breakdown on the market. Now, that being said, on any bottom tick or any sort of bottom tick, so like right here, say you bottom tick this market, which I think you said you just did, right? One of the go-tos for me on this that I see kind of happen often is that if you were to bottom tick this, the first objective would be reversing the 1 minute trend, right? So if you take the previous sell leg and you bottom ticked to get back up to the main volume trend of the previous sell, right? So if we zoom in here, right? So if we take this down leg, so everyone that shorted that move down, their main volume trend is where I'm putting this X, right? Or their main what I just call their main volume trend would be like right here, where that face is at. So if you bottom tick this, first objective is, can I screw over kind of the most recent market opponents, right? So if I need to go long, you either taken out, a lot of times you'd be taking out a short. Now I'm not saying that a bunch of people shorted that specific leg, but the concept being is anybody who chased the leg short, right? Their trend would be where that face is at. So if you bottom tick, first objective A, get back there, right? And then once you get through there, if you're using the 1 minute stuff, a lot of times you will kind of go to the next sequence level, right? So if you take the next leg, look at where the next leg is at. So the next leg would be here. 1 second. So this next leg was all the way right, it's like right here to like here. So like really that's like that previous kind of leg that happened. So where's their trend? It is right there, right? So once you get through 1, then you go back to 2. So a lot of times you can see that kind of formation through the chart as you backtrack all the previous sell legs. Now, that could get a little wild, but you know, and a lot of people would just say like, oh, well, why don't you just take it back to the previous high? So it's kind of the same concept, but just a little different in terms of volume. So again, in terms of a bottom tick, though, like I said before, you're in a bearish market. So unless you have some reason to believe that you absolutely have nailed the bottom of a market, then you should definitely take profit along the way on the move up. Because again, you're into a selling operation on the Qs, and that could last for as long as it wants. what do I foresee happening today? Well, I guess market's probably remaining bearish. Yeah, that would probably be my guesstimate at this point. Market's remaining bearish. Now, my bias change on that would be over the blue, right? Once we get over the blue, that's a time where we could start squeezing out anyone that participated in the sell move today, right? So right here where I'm circling is where the market has entered a sell move, 953. All right, and now we have a sell move. If the market were to get back over this blue line, which is right there, and I'm actually going to clean up some of this so it's not as crazy. 1 second. All right, so now we're just going to go with this here. Actually, I'm going to change this one to blue because that's important too. So maybe I should keep them red. Yeah, because that would make sense. If it's the sell move, then it should be red, which I used to do, but you know, anyway, so we'll keep this red. Red. Perfect. Cool. All right. So it's not a perfect system, but if you were going to ask me, like, when would I change bias, right? Because the bias, once you break down the 50 SMA, is it's bearish until it's not. Until it's not, for me, is something like this, when it gets back over this zone here, where the red VWAPs are at. So as long as the market on the intraday is below this red VWAP zone, which I'll just kind of, yeah, I mean, it's the red VWAP zone. I could put another drawing on the chart, but that's it. So I'll just put a little bear. So we'll put a little teddy bear here. So as long as you're below here, you're theoretically still bearish. And the best way I can describe it is the start point was back here where this little target's at. So this target was the start point of a bearish trend change that's significant enough on the market to arguably throw it into a meaningful downtrend. And for a second, don't even think about retail traders or retail investors, or just again, think in terms of completely computers, right? So let's say where the target's at and this breakdown at 953, 954, if that's where algorithms shift from bullish now to bearish, and we'll say now algorithms are creating the downtrend, which they are, and they're selling the markets down, which there's other retail participants, but most of it's going to be coming from, frequency trading computers and whatever, right? So as they're creating this downtrend, right, and all the volume that's coming into the market since 954, let's just say it's predominantly selling and it's predominantly short, right? Well, where's the volume weighted average price of that today? Right here, where this teddy bear is at. That's the 1 minute. So dialing it down to as low as the 1 minute micro selling trend of the bear market kind of sell move that started today at 954. That teddy bear would be that main sell trend. Okay. So what I say is the market will remain bearish as long as you remain below minimum the main bearish selling volume trend that's been started today at 954. Right? So, and I know it's hard, it's weird to wrap your head around it, but again, it's just a sell move starts here legitimately. The market is now bearish. As you can see, it's been performing lower low, lower high. That does not have to last for forever. It could last for a couple hours. Sometimes it will last for days. One of the first things that would convince me that maybe it's ending is if we get a strong enough rally that starts to surpass bearish, the bearish volume levels that create the sell move that we're currently on. Okay, so it's taking a specific point in the chart, tracking the volume of it, and then only flipping bias once we flip the volume level of such signal. All right. I don't know if I want to move all those drawings. No, I shouldn't have. See, do they have an eraser in here? I don't know, but that's okay. You know, and what does it say? Tom, and who is? Yeah, so yeah, an Irish president. You know, and it's, you know, like in terms of like what's going to happen for the day. I mean, we've, you know, from the start of the stream pre-market, we've kind of gone over quite a bit of things that have already happened. And so a lot of times everything's, you know, slightly evolving. You always kind of have an idea of what can happen, but you know, a lot of times you need a little more information. But this morning, I think we did a pretty good job at identifying where the market could pull back to in the pre-market session, where there would be a little bounceable trade in the pre-market session, the target of that bounceable trade in the pre-market session, and then kind of really just went over when the market flipped bearish, the little counter longs you could expect, targets of the counter longs in the downtrend, and then really just remained on the idea that since we're below here, you have to remain bearish the market. There was about a moment here where I thought we could reverse the downtrend just because of the short week we were on, but the market told me that I'm an idiot and that's not the case, and it wants to stay bearish for the moment. And that's kind of the way I always really look at it. It's kind of like, you know, once the market gets to a key over under where we could flip bearish, it's like, okay, the first initial break, I always got to imagine is kind of fake and it's got a back test, right? And so it's like that first initial like 10, 15 minutes, a lot of times I'm always kind of on the fence, like, is it legit? Is it not? Because it might be a false breakdown, right? So it's like that first 10 to 15, I'm always kind of like, well, we'll see. But once it really kind of starts performing like a true sell move, you got to just roll with it, right? So now it's just a lower low, lower high market until it's not, right? But that's what happens once you turn into sell moves. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, now we move over to the SPY. Again, that 30-minute trend, obviously. That's actually what could be interesting is that was a 361. Also, that was another thing. There's so many tools that I use too, but you know, we kind of had the VIX at that 15-minute rejection. You also had SPX hit the 361 of today's gap down, which is just another big level at times. Not a guarantee, but, you know. So we've already gone to the 361 extension today. So SPX has essentially traveled, you know, to its furthest extensions. Not quite. 423 is down there, but we're getting very low in terms of how far the market's moved on its gap down today. I wonder where SPY's at. Let's check that. I'm gonna delete some of this stuff here. Don't really care for it right now. Cause SPY was, that just looks weird. Let's do 15-minute. So where do we open? So SPY opened. There's a gap down. So we to the open, or wrong way. SPY is well below 423. Interesting. All right, so this is kind of interesting now, because now we got the also the VIX is getting bought back up back towards that 15-minute level. The SPY is now at the 15-minute level. We're still well above the 30-minute though. Okay. Yeah. A Bitcoin day, something, I don't even know. 95,000. So I'm going to take this to 4 hour. So we're going to take this guy to here. Yeah, so probably, I would say even next on deck, that's the 4 hours, even up into like 96,384. Let's have this guy here. Yeah, even in 96,600, that would make sense too. Obviously, I mean, we still are targeting up to 125,000 on Bitcoin. It could be even more. Again, we have 100 to 300 days left in what I believe is the bull market cycle. Oh, sorry. Of the bull market cycle for Bitcoin. So again, I think we got 100 to 300 days left on the current Bitcoin bull market cycle. Once we get into the 100, once we get, 100 days out from now into the 300-day window, that's where my narrative and my bias might change a little bit on that. No problem. Awesome. Do work. So yeah. That being said, I think we do have the opportunity for, bull market 100 to 300 days from now. And once we get into that window or closer to it, the narrative for me might start to change a little bit. That's also going to be based on what I see on the charts, things like that. So it's always kind of the assumption that any pullback from here is just going to get bought until we at least get in or closer to that window where I think it makes more sense that the timeline of the bull market might be coming towards an end, or at least a period where it really wants to slow down. And then naturally, after anything breaks out, those first initial dips are kind of those ones that get bought pretty quick because everyone's kind of fearful that they're missing out. So that first little bit that goes on sale, they just try to gobble it right up real quick. Right, and so I think that's kind of the scenario we're still in with Bitcoin in that regard. Can you explain the overextension of 3? Arish, Arish. I'm not Arish. Yeah, I'm not too positive on your question. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. I mean, I know like overextension, SPY, and SPX, but I just don't know exactly how, like what you're referring to there. I don't want to say something kind of wrong there. All right, let's get back into what's it called? SPY, SPX, QQQ, maybe bears, teddy bears, riddle teddy. All right, let's go take a look at the market internals for the day. Market internals are basically just not really doing anything. So no. I mean, I'm just kind of joking at that point, but yeah, they're just. I mean, there's really nothing to say. I mean, it's just the same trend we've been seeing all morning, which is again just down, right? So, actually, the FANG names just put in a pretty decent red there. So you're gonna see Q slip out pretty good. There it goes. So yeah, I wouldn't. There's nothing that's I would say I've talked about like on the SPY reaching anything on the downside yet. Oh, by the way, sorry, real quick. So you see that last candle? You see how aggressive that last candle was, right? So pretty aggressive candle. Look what also happened. Not that this is this is not a guarantee. I'm just saying, like, just look at the real-time evolution of key levels, right? So you see how we broke out. Remember I was talking about the 15-minute trend, right? So if we go to the 15-minute, you can see that was, and it's actually incorrect, that adjusted. So the true price level is a little lower. It's actually right here. So we just took out the 15-minute trend, right? So that is the first break of a key moving average for the volatility index that's occurred maybe over the past week. So it's the first time we've broken over such level that could start to create more volatility for the market. We'll see. It's a little soon to say that, but that's what starts to happen as you get these breaks, right? So we just broke here. And the first thing that happens is you get a mega drop candle, right? So those are algorithms and things in real time that just went, oh, snap, 15 minutes taken out. I'm going to kind of lay off that. So those are kind of things you'll notice around a lot of times key levels, things like that. So, anywhooser. Yeah, but nothing about a level 3 on the downside. I might have been talking about like SPX getting. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, so 361, 423. So this is today's gap down. So today's gap down on the SPX, right? So we have reached the 423 extension and the 361 extension. A lot of times can be used as a little bit of bounce areas for the market. Never is anything a perfect system, but bottom line is like this just tells us that from the impulsive move that happened overnight, which was a gap down, we have moved far enough in the direction of that gap that we've completed the Fibonacci sequence, at least on the overnight gap down play. So yeah, it took me a second. Actually, I had to flip back to the SPX to remember that we went over that. All right, hold on. It's time to start looking at something else here. Oh, come on. Yeah, not a whole lot to say for the moment. Other than we're probably going to squeeze back this last move, honestly. Just based off of what we've been seeing on the Qs today so far, I would just not really be surprised. So pop that bad boy up there like that. We're going to take this bad boy right there. So we're going to go like that, and we're going to be like bang, bang, chicken wing. So probably back up, scalp, long, boom, done. Got him. All right, so again, because what, like, yeah. I mean, that's basically what we've been seeing today. So to assume that it's just going to change randomly, I mean, it can, but again, it's like, what have we been seeing all morning? To some degree, every single sell leg counter trend back to screw over everyone that chased the last short. So everyone that chased this last leg down, their key volume price is here to here. So what do? We take the market, we squeeze them back. All right. Goat. You know, I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why it's 100 to 300 days. I mean, I could, but you know, there's things that work well. When they work well, you don't want to. You know, I do have superstitions, but again, the more you show something that works, the less likely it is to work. Actually, even though for some reason, you know, kind of in the trading world, there's the kind of the thoughts of like self-fulfilling prophecy, which is true, I guess, But yeah, the more you show something, again, the less likely it is to work a lot of times. So just kind of keeping that one. It really just has to do with just tracking and counting cycles. So just really looking at cycles, counting the timeline of cycles. That way you can at least, you know, build some sort of idea of timing based off of things that have happened in the past. So you're just looking at what's happened in the past, counting it, seeing how long the timelines of each events are, and then, you know, even taking, you know, mini trends within the big trends, timing those. So it's really just counting and tracking the trends that have already happened to extrapolate and give ideas for the future. Now that's always subject to change, but at least it gives you kind of a starting point to go off of, right? So yeah, that's the 1 minute retrace. So on a micro scalping sort of concept, we have effectively taken out everyone who shorted that last leg there. I don't want to say you've taken them out. And some of this terminology that I use may not be totally perfect, but it's just the way that my brain kind of, would understand it or think about it, right? So when I think about, short-term micro trading, anyone trying to profit on this move down, if they were shorting, taking the market back to here would effectively take out pretty much everyone who shorted that leg, right? And then if the trend wanted to stay down, it would do that, right? So again, if trends remain, then the market's going to do a lower high here in the Qs and it's going to go down, right? Now, that works until it doesn't, right? So it's like eventually things do change a bit. These are micro trends, so it's like they can kind of be sporadic at times. I've owned Bitcoin for quite a while now. I've dollar cost averaged Bitcoin for a few years now. I've stopped it at times and put it back on, but I've primarily dollar cost averaged Bitcoin for a couple years now, maybe like 4 years. Well, 2020, yeah, about 4, maybe 3 or so, maybe 3.5. I've probably dollar cost averaged it and then bought some bigger dips. I've sold some here and there, but mainly just held dollar cost averaging. Sold a little bit on like a top once, I think, twice, and then just kept buying. So I own a decent amount at a decent average share price. And I do, again, I unfortunately, I still have, which are going to change, but I do have price targets for Bitcoin in the long term on the downside right now to 43,000. Which sounds silly saying, but it's going to change. So it's not going to be when the time matters, it's not going to be 43,000. It could be 50,000. It could be 70,000. It just depends, because at least, some of the tools, and one of the tools that I'm using as a metric for kind of understanding some downside risk and potential trend reversal of a bear market situation on Bitcoin, it would be at 43,000 right now. Right? So, but my projections, again, for maybe a bear market don't come in until end of 2026 to 2027. Well, wait, hold on. Bear market would start before that. But my projections of, by the way, before I continue on that, right, what are we seeing, right? Remember VIX? See how the VIX is broken out, back tested, now moving away? So this is some early volatility signs picking up on the VIX. Again, as a result, you're seeing these kind of sharper, knee-jerk moves on the market to the downside. Okay? So, that is the first signal of volatility. I would say that's the first true trigger of volatility that we've gotten. Basically since the breakdown, which started like a week ago, something like that. But anyways, so that's important, very important. Doesn't mean it's going to last, but again, those are the kind of things that you start to look for volatility changes. Okay. So yeah, back to, what was I saying? Bitcoin. Yeah. So basically, what I'd be looking for a bear market, again, if we're doing some cycles that rhyme to past cycles, we're going to be looking for a bear market bottom somewhere towards the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. So my $43,000 bear market target is almost certainly going to change price in the event we have a bear market bottom in 2020, end of 2026, beginning of 2027. Because again, it's the end of 2024, and the metrics that I may use for a bear market bottom are at 43,000. In a couple of years from now, it's going to change pricing. So yeah, I'm going to change pricing. So like when I say it right now, it's almost silly, but it's to emphasize the point that, like, let's just say the bear market had to start today or whatever, right? Then I have drawdown to 43,000 right now, if not a little before or a little below. Q. Getting a little some. Alright, so we can see here. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up here. Again, there's a little... We got a little positive MAC. Probably nothing, but it will be... Basically, if we're going to... Again, like, if there's going to be any sort of bottom bounce reversal on this market, I would not even assume anything until you at least get some bit of positive MAC on the FANG names. And then, only then, I could assume that you get something that's a little bit further than just one push up and lower high roll, right? So, that would be like a minimum. All right. This, I mean, we'll see. It'll be funny. We'll see. We have to have one market. I mean, I wouldn't mind to see at least a little two-step action at some point. So, kind of giving those vibes, maybe. QQQ hit -2 sigma on the day. I mean, yeah. Oh, wait, hold up. I totally forgot. 1 second. This is important because SP. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, never mind. I mean, yeah, if again, basically, if there's no market bottom to be found, what we're going to see is we're going to see the SPX trade down to 5,985.99, and the SPY is going to trade arguably down to like 597.22. Again, it's not that, and like I said, it's basically if we don't bottom, the market's going to be attracted to the 50 SMA. That being said, I was never banking on the market going that far today, but this is pretty much just what happens. When you turn into sell moves that don't get bottoms, the market a lot of times goes down to test the 50 SMA. It's a lot of times what happens. Let me double check one other thing. The only way that could even... Well, I guess we did take out the 30-minute trend here in this system, so yeah, it's debatable. Again, wasn't banking on it myself even remotely today, but, you know. And the reason I say that, too, is because it eventually is bound to happen. So whether it happened today or whether it happened, you know, Friday or next Monday or whatever, even if it doesn't happen, it just means at some point it will, which is, again, if and it sounds dumb saying it, but it's like, yeah, again, if you don't bounce, right, and hold a bounce, right, you're just eventually going to slide down to the 50 SMA. It's just normal. But yeah, you know. And the only reason I would say that maybe even possible is because the QQQs enter a sell move. So it's like the QQQ's been selling down, the QQQ's into a short-term bear market. So it's like, arguably, it's might be enough to drag the SPY to test its uptrend. So that's the only reason why I think it even may be remotely possible. It's like there might be enough selling and bearishness that's been activated on the QQQ market that it then allows some more weakness to prevail. The volatility index on the VIX has broken over the 15-minute trend. Now it's maybe a little extended on its push, so it might not be just a break and go, but you're starting to see early signs of maybe increased volatility. But anyways, so this isn't necessarily a nice. Oh well, actually, too, we have to get below. Wait, that's at 590. Oh, that's right. Yeah, 596.94. 30 minutes. 596. Yeah, that wouldn't even matter at that point, but yeah. But again, Thanksgiving week, it just did not seem like something that would happen. Short week, Thanksgiving, I don't really think it's gonna get there, but we'll see. Bottom line is, as long as the QQQ trades below its teddy bear, again, we are into a bearish market. And that's just kind of it. So I really can't change bias on the market turning real positive until at least the QQQ gets over the teddy bear, right? So until the QQQ is over the teddy bear, everything is still just counterbouncing, right? And the teddy bear is right there now. Interesting. Now, the reason I did add this little box down here on the downside this time is because I was like, this might be one of those like little mini lower highs or higher lows. Hence why I put the VWAPs there. You can kind of see we're holding a little bit of a higher low there. Just kind of had this like little knee-jerk reaction, like they might try to do a little something there. But again, this is all counter trend stuff in a downtrend. Where is there it is. Also, the other reason why I'm like they might get a little bit along there is because the MAC on the FANG we're starting to change a little bit. So you kind of see how we're talking about you need to get at least a little green, and this is not much, but I just felt the market was so extended down after such amount of selling that even a little bit of green could create that kind of higher low bounce scenario. So anyways, right, so you see how only looking at maybe a long bounce, even scalpable scenario, once we start to get some positivity across the FANG names, at least in the micro. So again, we went from negative to slightly positive, right? So that's kind of one of the reasons I saw like just little mini momentum. You might get a little higher low scenario there. And there you go. You can see even the market is below the 1 minute trend. If you look at the 1 minute 50 SMA trend, even the Qs are below that. So it's like there's not even an uptrend on a 1 minute SMA right now on the QQQ. So it's still a bearish market by all means, okay? But definitely saw a little action there. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta hit the B room. Go little Bitcoin. Again, Nvidia is still into a sell move. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Microsoft is still positive. Google is actually still positive. Amazon still positive. Meta is actually kind of messing around with the over-under right now. So you can see Meta sold down to its 30-minute over-under. So this is arguably an interesting point. Again, it's basically the same scenario with QQQ. Again, it's the over-under, so it comes in, bounces, cool. If it breaks down, then Meta's going bearish. And it's not going to be perfectly straightforward, but it's definitely the key level. Again, algorithms run the market. You're not supposed to have total control over it, but you get the point. Let's see, Tesla. Tesla's just bang cooked. Tesla's been bearish since basically yesterday. What was the Zoom? Actually, I'm going to check out Zoom. Yep, figures. Zoom. Let's see, JPM. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, it's just Amazon's just pulling back off the high. Google's just in a mini pullback. Microsoft is a mini pullback. It's Nvidia that's just shitting the bed. Apple's not. It's not even. It's really just Nvidia. Yeah, there's also other things, but it's funny. Well, yeah, Amazon Meta. Meta was a steep pullback today. Go on, our friend Bitcoin. 4 hour. Yep. Come on, baby. 96,000. Somewhere in there, right? That would be fun. Come on. You can get a little more juice in you. Again, you guys can see once we put in this top here, you see how once we put in this like little top and started to roll, I made sure to anchor the tops and the roll down, so I had the expected kind of lower high scenario after that pop, and now your candle's down. So right now we're basically the 1 minute longs are trying to defend their support from the bottom. So this is also the stop out location of the 1 minute longs off the bottom. There might not be too many people involved on this bottom, but if there is, that's kind of a stop out point for them once we get below here. So we might get a little bit of a candle that might get kind of shot down or something here. No guarantee, but again, that's kind of what happens once you take out kind of a structural bottom attempt. You might get a little, but you get the point. Also, well, that would depend. There's a 5 minute. Oh, there's the 5 minute. So we are holding a 5 minute low. So you got to give it at least another 2 minutes here, right? Where's my time? Well, either way, it's got about another 2 minutes because we are still holding 5 minute low support here on this bottom. So the 5 minute support off low is getting held. Therefore, you really should at least wait until the new 5 minute candle, which is going to be in about a minute here, because that could transition back to long in the next 5 minutes. A new 5 minute candle, that is. Do 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 do. Okay, new 5-minute candles out. Bears. Again, just a little side note that VIX still getting positive, right? 1442. So VIX is starting to wake up a little bit as it started to clear that 15-minute trend. With a successful 15-minute breakout, we're going to look for the VIX to go up to the price of 1550. So as long as the breakout's legit, which basically means it goes up, we're going to be targeting to about $15.16 next on the VIX. Now, if that were to, for whatever reason, happen today, that would almost certainly put the S&P down on the 50 SMA. So, but I don't really think that's going to happen. But we'll see. But yeah, I don't really think that's going to happen. But again, for whatever reason, if the VIX did run up to about $15 a day, that will most likely, you'll see the SPY down on the price of 597.28 by the end of the day. So I would say basically from now, end of the week and into Monday, we have the potential for a market scenario where the market has broken out the 15-minute, whether it pulls back, does whatever, but holds, we can get a move closer to about $15 to 15.20s to at least test the 30-minute trend on the market. So we'll see. Again, it's a little soon. A lot of times you're going to need a back test. We've only really broken out and done a micro back test. So a lot of times, once the 15 breaks out, you're going to need that 15-minute cycle back, test support. That could either fail or hold. We'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. QQQ finally getting a little bit of love off the low. That's what I was kind of talking about, that 5-minute transition. It started red, flipped to green. Again, you can kind of see we held this 5-minute anchor low. When we do that, we use a 5-minute chart, wait for the 5-minute transition. Either way, the market is still in theory bearish because it's not above the teddy bear. So again, any of this is just counter long stuff, but not a bullish bounce. Well, bullish market. It would really be cool to get a long bounce back to the teddy bear and then like another short off the teddy bear. That would be cool because sometimes that can set up for a really nice like leg down with a big enough retrace. But yeah. Ow. Might be asking for a little much. Oh, what's up, Joanne? Yeah, well, for some reason, YouTube allowed me to start streaming again, so I would just say there's some, I don't know. I mean, I have ideas, but, you know, for some reason, someone removed the, removed whatever was blocking my streams. Yeah, I would say best case scenario, short squeeze scenario on the day is going to be back to the teddy bear. Now, again, occasionally we can get that move on some days. It might be asking for a bit much, but that's like best case scenario, bottom bounce squeeze, where the market could still be bearish on the day, right? So it's like, in theory, you have all the way up to here, and the market can still perform bearish on the day. Again, it could be asking for a bit much, but we'll see. Track this guy, so we're above that guy. That's Dees. Trigger this guy. That would probably be the next stop, because if we're through that guy, then yeah, next stop is going to be here, which we just did. So we just got to one of the next 1 minute volume levels up. So we're going to have to clear 503.84, and then arguably we can squeeze it up into 504 to 504.39. Again, we'll see. Stuff isn't necessarily easy to entirely predict, but I would say right now there is a little mini resistance about 503.84. So obviously the market's bouncing a little bit off the low. Let's look at the market internals. All right, so what are the market internals doing? Right, you see how the MAC flipped positive on the FANG name. So the FANG are going through enough of a bounce to lead our markets up right now, which kind of assumed that in the background, didn't really have to be looking at it. Now, if we look at all of the market internals, it's really just, I mean, there's a mini bounce on NYSE. It's mainly the FANG. It's honestly probably just Nvidia at this rate. Let's see. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's not. A little bit. I mean, Nvidia gave us a little bounce, but Apple's doing okay. Google did a little bit there. Microsoft. Google's doing a decent amount. Amazon's doing a decent. Meta. I mean, yeah, we basically just went through a little bit of a bounce there on the FANG names, and as a result, QQQ is kind of calculating into that. All right, so at this rate, now that we're kind of on an upswing, we're going to start looking on things to the upside, at least for the moment, until it starts to fail. So right now we're on the first like 1 minute micro support of the breakout of that uptrend. Again, you can kind of see how now I'm anchoring to the lows to catch the dip up. See that? See how we're changing that direction. So now it's kind of a dip up sort of scenario. Again, this is all very micro stuff, but this really helps you get an idea for like where the levels, a lot of times levels will be at, and so on and so forth. So basically that's the 1 minute micro dip around 503.52. Again, if you can get it up through 503.84, you could arguably might start to trigger a new micro squeeze. We'll see. And then again, by taking the market up towards like 504.37s, that's really going to start putting everyone who's participated for the whole day bearish on tilt. So again, that's like effectively taking the bottom up, everyone who's been short, and even like look at like this top back here, like even this top, right? All of these moves down, people are like, damn, it's going up all the way into my levels, even though it's right around that bear. Now, that's a decent kill candle. Excuse me. That's a decent kill candle there. We'll see if that amounts. Again, it's a little challenging. We're doing it's a counter long that we're trying to work up right now for as high as it wants to go until it finds more resistance is really what this play is. All right, so you can kind of see here, see how this little cute drawing I made, how we said we need a 15-minute back test. So there's the 15-minute back test, which then this also creates a scenario where if it's a failed breakout, right, and then the market on the VIX actually gives up the 15-minute trend, that could be a little bit of a catalyst to help further the long press that the market's currently seeing, right? So you see how we just pulled the VIX back, market's bouncing, right? So if we start to bounce the VIX here, this might arguably top the SPY. But again, this is a scenario where if we do a failed breakout on the 15-minute, then this long is going to press up more. If the VIX kind of flutters out, roll it. Either way, you'll see. And again, right now the current like momentum up support for the Qs is right there on scale. So right where that box is, that's where the new kind of current 1 minute momentum run up's at. Not this back here. God damn it. Sometimes the charts can get a little annoying, right? All right, so we're just getting to creeping through. If it's a successful breakout, it usually is just going to magnet straight up to the next level. So if we're correct, it's going to go into about 504.13 to as high as 504.36. You can kind of see how that little bounce failed there on the VIX, that little micro stuff. Little schemers. Come on. Again, if we get any sort of, decent bounce here on the VIX, it's probably going to hinder this move a little bit. But anyways. Let's go take a peek at the market internals just to make sure we're not overlooking anything. Market internals are okay. The FANG names are still positive. It's not like it's a super aggressive, strong bounce, I would say. I mean, it's decent, but it's not like we are getting participation on the market. It's just the trend has been so negative on all of these issues for the day that even these little bounces, it's like, would still have a lot of work to do to really kind of change trend on the day, I would imagine, for those. But, like we were saying before, if you look at the MAC for the FANG right now, it is positive. Now, someone might say that it's a little lackluster here and it's kind of tapering off, sure. But right now, it's still positive. Looks like we're getting a little bit of resistance. I'm just going to clean some of this stuff up. I don't really need it, but yeah, right now, the expected pullback is this yellow box. Yeah, yellow box. And then obviously there's some more to the downside. So there's the yellow box. And now if you snap the yellow box, basically going to be going down to this guy here. There's the next one down. So right here. Okay. So on and so forth. Cool. You get the point. So like, look at this, ready? So this is a scenario where it's like, if this MAC on the FANG flips negative here, there's a good chance this is going to put in one of those 1 minute kind of kill candles to the downside. Basically, the market would need this like little MAC cross to be fake. And then maybe the Qs will reboost up into a long here. Otherwise, they'll most likely drown it out or something like that. Hey, Bitcoin, 96,000. Hey, Bitcoin hit our next up target. What do you know? Remember we said Bitcoin in 96,400? Do they remember that? Yeah. Remember right there, you see that old VWAP? Bing, bing, bang, boom. So again, we hit that kind of first side. Now it maybe is like, up into like here or so. But we're getting into that next long target area for good old Bitcoin. Or wait, yeah, Qs. All right, back to a 1 minute. No, don't need that. 1 minute. Oh, darn it. All right, so you see how they basically did that 1 minute kill candle down? Darn it. All right, so you see how I did that? It just, yeah, I mean, either way, it's kind of could see that one coming, right? Because you could see here, right? So we were getting close to crossing the momentum on the major market cap stocks negative. So it's kind of one of those scenarios where you could just kind of feel it. It's like, okay, well, we're kind of topping out. Clearly, if we get negative on the momentum again with the FANG names, this long will kind of fall apart right there and drop out. All right, it's pretty straightforward. So... No, there's been no improvements from V5B, Chad. Nope, no improvements since then or there. Yeah. Nope. I mean, yeah, so it's pretty much just the same. And the guy that was doing a lot of the coding for us on that, and it's not that it's not that he's not working with this anymore. It's just, as a company, we basically have no traffic anymore as far as like company wise. Obviously it's not like you've been on YouTube very often, to kind of even create traffic to some of those sources. But, just as a company, we don't have, a ton of growth anymore or, things like that. So we've kind of slowed down on sort of that. Our business is just slowed in that regard. It's updated, it still works, but for the moment, there probably won't be any new updates to that system. Okay, so again, moral of the story, right? What is the moral of today's story, Ben? That the market has entered a bearish sell signal at 9:53, and as long as the market is below the teddy bear, the market remains bearish, right? And everything is just counterbounce back to bearish. Which, by the way, now we're going to be basically looking to go, well, not that, but yeah, these bad boys up like that. And then this was kind of a shift there. This one's kind of an odd one because it's kind of like a chase move. Yeah, this one's kind of funky, but yeah, I don't even know if we'll get it. Not right now, it wouldn't make sense, but yeah, it's kind of odd. This setup is kind of needs some time. It would actually first be to the 1 minute micro, if anything, but oh yeah, oh, nice stretch. I haven't been using this computer screen. This upper left one you can see is black. Because for the longest time, I've just refused to get a long enough cord to reach my computer. So I've just been operating with one less screen. Yeah. But, maybe we'll get one soon. So I got to imagine the VIX probably bounced, obviously. Let's see, VIX right there. Yep, so there's the... see, look at that bounce. Remember we were talking about just a second ago? It's like, yep, one, and I wasn't even looking at it, but I could just assume, right? So again, that's what you're seeing is that 15-minute transition, right? You see how we're transitioning that 15, and we had the back test, and now it's exploding up again, and market's dropping out. So this is where we've gotten a little bit of confirmation on the VIX, and I do think that the market's going to be attracted to around $15.14 on the VIX, whether it be by the end of the day, going into Friday's session. Again, and it's kind of silly to say it like that. It's like, well, as long as everything stays the same and markets go down and VIX goes up, it's going to happen. But that's kind of the saying, it's like, as long as everything stays on trend here and doesn't fall apart, you could see a transition on the VIX to about 1520s. And again, as a result, markets probably go down and yada, yada, yada. Again, could be early. Again, sometimes the market doesn't play nice. Sometimes it plays games. So it's kind of the saying, if the markets play nice, if no games are played, market plays nice, then yeah, going to 15 on the VIX wouldn't really be a challenge. It's almost destined. But if the market wants to play games and be, the way it can be, then it's, and I will pull up some past examples, right? So it's just take this example back here, right? Like this was a clean one, right? So look, market broke, basically back tested and then went, right? So that was the market playing nice on a 15-minute scale, all right? Go to the next long, right? This would be a situation where it's hold on. Yeah, this is a situation where the market broke the 15-minute and the VIX played nice, right? Then you had a scenario on the previous day here where it's the VIX broke the 15-minute during pre-market, got launched up, went for the back test, failed support, right? So it didn't play nice for the long, right? Or even on this day, right? So it's the market broke over the 15-minute, went for the back test, failed. Granted, there's days where you can get a vibe if something's going to work better than not, and that being said. So it's just the saying, if you're right and the market's going to play nice, then yeah, we're most likely going to be seeing that VIX, wherever we're at. So even look at on this day. So this day, it's into the 15-minute, chopped it, eventually broke away from it, played nice, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking, and even this day, right? So this day started over, went under, screwed around, eventually broke it, had a little bit, but it wasn't, wasn't a whole lot, right? And each market scenario is different. There could be something else you're missing, right? But ultimately, it's a good guide. This day, that was fine. Little break over, fail, back over, play nice, and boom, right? So again, if the market wants it, we're in a scenario now where the VIX volatility can start picking up, and we're going to go track down $15 or so, maybe 15.15. Some good coffee. Granted, I will say this too, because I'm always, trying to think ahead too a bit. In the event we get the market, whether it be today or Friday into next week, the market always seems to move a little quicker than you think. It's before something happens, it's well, if I'm not totally right, then maybe it could be a day or two, right? Giving yourself that window room. But the reality is, if something's going to work and do it, it usually happens quicker than you think. And so on and so forth. So, anyways. But that being said, when the market gets towards about $15.16, yeah, so when we get there, we first gotta watch for a rejection and then use that for a catalyst for a long market bottom, all right? So again, we're kind of in the scenario where we can chase volatility up towards that 15, well, hopefully, right? That's if the market's going to play nice on this 15-minute breakout. And if it does, we get up to the 15s, 15. And if we get there, whether it be today into Friday, whether it's Monday, that first attempt into that 30-minute VIX trend, we normally are going to look for a pullback on the VIX. So that could be used as a catalyst for a little bit of a long scenario on the market, which one would assume if the VIX runs up to $15, markets probably continue down. And if they're going down and you use the VIX as a resistance, you'll be looking for a bottom bounce on the market. So we arguably have a catalyst lined up for a market bottom bounce once we get to a rejection point on the VIX, which up on deck next would be around that $15, 15-20 cent range. Man, my neck. Neck is sore looking at all these charts. Oh, my phone's dead. Story of my life. I'll be right back. I'm going to go plug this phone in, charge it before I miss a phone call from the president, you know? So, be back. What the yellow line is and how to get it. I'm not exactly sure what yellow line you're referring to, but imagining it's probably the one on the volatility index. Yeah, pretty much all my videos cover various different topics at once. I don't have probably a specific video as of recent, though. Yeah, literally, honestly, everything you see on my chart, whenever I'm on stream, I generally go over it every single time. Normally, anything horizontal on my chart is just a resistance support over under. But yeah, I don't have a dedicated video probably to... I do, but I don't know. I don't really know what the videos I have anymore. It's been so long. But again, really, this is just me overlapping a line. So this is just an SMA down here. So this, if you're talking about this yellow line, that's just me putting a horizontal line over this SMA, so that when I change the time frame, I'm still aware of, kind of where that level's at. And that's the same thing I'm doing right here. So if we go to the 30-minute time frame, you see right here on the 30-minute, you can see rectangle, take that off. Yeah, this guy, I'm just putting a horizontal line over this 50 SMA there, so that if I change down to, say, a micro time frame, like a 1 minute or a 5 minute, then I'm kind of aware of where that's at. Also, the market put in a 5-minute gap here on the VIX, so arguably that needs to be filled. So arguably we're going to get a pullback on the market to fill that, or vice versa. They're going to ram the market away from that. For anyone that tries to chase kind of for this gap fill, they'll run it up into like 15, 16. This would actually be the best scenario. The best scenario would be to run the VIX into 15, 16, leave the gap open down here. That way we could use it to chase the gap down later. So there's a bigger pullback correction to go for the gap fill later. So that would kind of fall in line for a market bounce really well. So again, if whoever controls the market can leave that VIX gap open, allow us to create resistance, rejection at the 30-minute, that can create a very nice desirable target on the downside for a pullback later, and arguably a better catalyst for the market bounce, right? So again, if the VIX runs all the way up, hits target, we assume the market probably stays downside or goes down a little more. And then if we leave a catalyst like that 5-minute gap fill to the downside on the VIX, that just kind of adds a better, it just makes the setup better for a bounce on the market later. So it could be something we're seeing set up in real time. Like when I say a setup, literally a setup. The market could arguably be being set up currently for such scenario based off of what we're seeing, right? Like if you're expecting resistance at some point, it'd be nice to leave a reason on the downside to go down and get. That could be that 5-minute gap that you're seeing in front of your face. Again, market staying down. You can see how the SPY is going down. I mean, you guys know. The whole 35 of you guys here with me today. Where are we at, though, on the SPY? So the SPY has a little more room down to 597.33. Remember we talked about, market going down, SPY, SPX going down to the 50. Ooh, the SPX did go down to the 50 SMA. Oh, no, it hasn't. It still has some room down. So, again, at this point, you're almost guaranteeing that the market, that's funny. You should never say guarantees, but you get the point. Like, we're so close, you almost expect the market just to go get it anyways. So, the SPX down to about 5,987. SPY still has a little bit of room down there to the 50 SMA. So whether they do it, play nice, bring it all the way down or not, we'll see. But ultimately, we are at 597.90. We maybe have another 50, 60 cents down there on the market. As a result, I mean, again, we should be pretty close to that 30-minute target. Let me delete all this randomness. Here, I don't know why I did that. That was kind of dumb, because then I just have to come in and delete it all eventually. All right, so again, as a result, we're seeing the 15-minute trend go positive on the VIX. So volatility is increasing. Since volatility is increasing, it's easier for markets to go down because markets are starting to get a little scared, maybe, right? They're seeing the volatility index go down. They're seeing prices go down. The fear is building, right? Meanwhile, we're probably just trying to work this VIX up into about 1520. Just based off of how far 1520 is on the VIX, you kind of assume that could probably take the SPY down maybe another 60, 50 cents into that 50 SMA target. By going down to that 50 SMA target, you then put the SPY and the SPX on the support over under as the VIX is coming into the resistance over under. We'll see. Could be asking for too much. We'll see. I don't know. I don't make the rules. Where the hell is... There it is. Does anybody know why the VIX is going up? Anybody at all? By chance. Why is the volatility market? Why is volatility increasing? That's good stuff. Oh, Bitcoin. Look at old Bitcoin topping in that little next target we had. Remember we had that little target Magoo of Bitcoin here. First 4-hour target, secondary 4-hour target, getting a little toppy. What are you going to do? That was good. Good little bounce there. Alrighty, let's see. SPY still got some room to go. SPX just got 2 target. Not really. It's still got some room there, but again, just based off of the speed of everything and the way things are feeling, we still want to see that VIX into again, we still got some room on that VIX into 15, 17. Now, you might think to yourself, like, with how much the market's gone down, the VIX, maybe someone would think that the VIX should be going more or even faster or whatever. But the reality is, the reality is the market is still in a downtrend with the VIX. A true uptrend on the VIX doesn't really start until, and actually the target's lower. Sorry, we have to adjust this. It's no longer 15.15 or something. It's 15.13. All right, so the target on the VIX there it is, boink, 15.13. All righty. So let me grab this back over like that. Come on. All right, get into a 5-minute. All right, so the VIX has now hit our long target from the 15-minute breakout. We've transitioned the 15. We've moved it to the 30-minute. Job well done. That's what's supposed to happen when the market plays nice. Doesn't always play nice, but it did today. So thank you to the people that watched this stream and made that happen. Okay. So anyways, so now we got that gap to fill on the downside. So this is a scenario where I think you probably got to watch for a little bit of long. Let's see. Let me just bring this back up. Could be wrong, but we'll see. So I think right now you kind of got to watch market for a little bit of a long bounce. Might be a little soon. We might need to wait a little bit. May not react instantly, but I think the market's enough oversold now as we come into the over-under support around 597.31 that you got to watch for a little like that, just like your first initial scalp long. And then we'll see if we can get a little bit of bottom bouncing action down here. And only because, again, the SPY and the SPX have now sold into a support. So it's the first attempt into support. You definitely don't want to be shorting into the first attempt support. That usually doesn't work too well. Sometimes it does. But anyway, so there's the first initial kind of knee-jerk scalping 1 minute bounce, right? As we come into the over under support, which is that yellow line you guys see down here, not the one on the upside. All right. Along with the fact that we got the VIX into our 30-minute target. So this is the first attempt VIX into the 30-minute trend. Does it break out and keep going? Maybe, but we never assume that at first go. We always assume it's probably not going to break out. All right. So what we'll look here is for a rejection at the 30-minute trend here at 1513. And if the market's cool and the people that control the market are watching the stream and want to do us a favor and move it from 1513 all the way down back to the 5-minute gap fill and do a cool bounce in the market, we would appreciate it. Sorry. All right, now let's take a look at some of the market internals. All right, so starting to get that's a one. Wait, yeah. So maybe getting a little positivity there on some of the FANG names, so that's good. We'll see if it has some resolution and some follow through. Again, we might be asking for a bit much, but you never know. Our approach is definitely a little different than the average Joe's, I will say that. So, again, we are starting to get a little bit of positivity there on some of the FANG names. The volume on the market just boosted up a little bit on the long. Not much. NYSE not really doing us any favors. We're starting to get a little positivity on the MAC for the SPY there. Again, it's all very soon. We'll see if we get follow through here. But again, if we're going to actually give like a decent bounce here on the SPY, you'd want to see the SPY issues turn positive, SPY issue or FANG issues turn positive. At least some degree of small positivity across the board would be nice. So we'll see if we get that follow through. All right, you can kind of see here how the NASDAQ past 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, we've had long bias market internals. For the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes on FANG, we've had some positivity. Past 4 minutes on the NYSE have been positive. Past 4 or 5 minutes there on the SPY, positive. Again, it's not that it's going to last forever, but those are the things you'd want to at least see, you know, some degree of positivity as you're looking for a long press. It would be worse if it was just red, right? So that was a good first initial reaction at support. You never expect things to go straight up. So arguably we might need a pullback there to reset a higher low for it to decide. And if we're lucky, it just keeps blowing up. If we're not lucky, I don't know, whatever. But so far, things are doing okay. Let's go back to the VIX again. The VIX is very important. It's a lot of this. A lot of this concept is built off the back of the VIX doing a full rejection. I don't want to say a full rejection, but a rejection to gap fill. Now, of course, it doesn't have to do that, but there is a setup for it. So, yeah, we'll see. Again, it's definitely too hard to be short bias on that low. Like, if you know what I'm saying, if you think about how the market's performed so far, it's like the last thing you'd want to be doing is like shorting the market into that low at 597.30 as opposed to watching for like reversal long scalps at least, just because it's SPY, SPX into support, VIX arguably into some resistance. So at least on the first go of things, you'd want to watch opposite. Now we'll see if the market plays nice and, you know, what have you. QQQ. Side note, yeah, that last big rejection we had on QQQ, so you kind of have like a secondary teddy bear right here. And that was this big rejection, right? So that big rejection, that's kind of the trend going down. Hasn't respected it all that great. It stayed below it, but hasn't really full tagged, but you get the point. Again, there is the market. Well, not quite yet, but probably. Again, that's that market where we said market's most likely going to have to pull back, at least set up it and attempt a 1 minute chart construction higher low minimum. So again, that's where this, again, if the market's going to higher low, at least the 1 minute scale, we would have to do it somewhere in here. And that's also the failure point, right? So that's kind of the funny thing is like, usually where like the bottom of your higher low dips are going to be are also the over under / breakdown too. So it's like, this is where for the long to stay intact off low on the 1 minute, you want to curl. So yeah. All right, let's check on the VIX. Where did you go? Come on, VIX. Do it, baby. Those little schemers. Now we got another 5-minute gap on the VIX, but that one's overhead. But either way. So that just means we got business to handle there at some point. Still going for that, that VIX on the gap. I mean, there's really two scenarios here at this point. It's either this basically doesn't play nice to the downside immediately for us, and maybe we push back up, flirt, go fill this gap. But either way, now we got gap here and gap here. So that makes things a little bit more tricky, but ultimately, yeah, we still want to see this gap filled on the downside. That would be ideal, and that would keep the market pressing for us in the immediate. Oh, baby, the long press is working. So nice. So nice. So this is, yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's the kind of one little issue I see with the setup currently that we're just working on. Was basically they've created a gap here, so it's a scenario where they're gonna force up the 1-minute chart to go track down this gap, fill it, then maybe bring the market down to the 5-minute gap fill, vice versa. I mean, of course they don't have to fill it, but yeah. So it would be a little bit easier if there was just one gap down to go fill. But then when you throw two in the mix, it's like, okay, how are you going to ping pong it now? You're going to go fill it, then roll it down, etc. There's a lot of ideas now. I mean, just look at that, though. So clean. The 15-minute back test to the 30-minute target. That's what you call clean. Clean daddy. Well, anyways, I think that's good. I think that's a good place to call it. I mean, effectively today we did a good job at identifying first pullback level for pre-market, scalp level and target for pre-market. Then identified early enough that the market would just maintain bearishness because of market internals and the NASDAQ breaking down and entering a bear market. Then provided multiple back test levels for scalps and or re-entry short based off 1-minute micro trends. Then we were able to identify where the volatility index would probably pick up pace. Then the target of the 15-minute breakout to the 30-minute level of the VIX, which then helped us identify that the market was going to at least sell down to the 50 SMA on both the SPX and the SPY. And then to do a counter trend long at the 50 SMA for both the SPX and the SPY, because we were going to do a 30-minute rejection on the VIX. So countless trades and ideas all work to a plan today. So that's nice. That's always a good feeling. I think that's a great spot to end the stream. So hopefully you guys have a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys enjoy that time with the family. I won't be on Friday to stream because I'm going to be bird hunting on Friday morning. So cheers to that. All I got to leave you with here is that the market on the SPY and the SPX are still positive, okay? We're still over the 50 SMA. So we effectively used the NASDAQ bear market today to bring the SPY and SPX into support, and now we're bouncing the support. So as long as the market on the VIX maintains below that rejection price and the SPY is above this 597, you're looking to bounce the market long for the time being, okay? So anyways, same time next Monday. You know, I'll talk to my business partner, Brandon. I mean, he probably has no problem, you know, running the stream in the private room. Again, he does most of the live trading anyways. I just really perform analysis for most of the part these days. I don't announce too many trades. I usually just kind of provide the analysis and ideas of what is probably going to happen. And then from there, you guys kind of formulate your trades around that. That's pretty much my objective in life at this point. Kind of like what we did today. I walk you through the analysis and kind of provide you what I think is going to play out in key levels, and then from there you can kind of time your stuff around that if you like. So thanks, Bob. I appreciate that. So yeah, anyways, I'll catch you guys back maybe Monday. I will definitely try to do some more streams. I know that obviously being on a stream during the live hours is what matters. That's what makes it slightly challenging in that regard, because we do run a private room where people do pay for a lot of this stuff. But I really do enjoy streaming on YouTube. I think it's fun. I think it's great. And so that being said, I'll keep you guys up to speed. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I come back Monday, maybe not. If not, you know, you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we will catch you back maybe on Monday. Yeah. So cheers. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.